Good morning, this is XPulse AI Morning Mix. Today is Friday, February 20th. We're covering a major shift in Nvidia and OpenAI's deal talks, Google's Gemini 3.1 Pro preview, a massive India infrastructure pledge, and a fresh reminder that AI agents are basically adorable chaos. I've got Orion with me. Ready?
Ready, let's do it.
Financial Times reported on February 20th that Nvidia and OpenAI scaled back a previously discussed $100 billion hardware for equity arrangement. Orion, what's the new shape of this deal?
The report says that big long-term structure is off, and Nvidia is instead looking at about a $30 billion equity investment as part of a much larger OpenAI fundraising effort. Other big names, SoftBank and Amazon in negotiations, are mentioned, but the terms and final investor list are still being finalized.
Why would both sides prefer smaller and sooner here?
Two reasons. One, flexibility. Equity now doesn't lock OpenAI into a specific hardware path for years. Two, speed. It's easier to close a clean equity check than to negotiate a multi-year compute for ownership contract with tons of operational clauses. $30 billion. Still not lunch money.
What should listeners watch for next?
Look for clarity on valuation, governance, and how infrastructure spending gets financed, owning data centers versus long-term cloud deals. If the fundraising is huge, it could reshape who gets priority access to compute and how quickly OpenAI can scale frontier training.
On February 19th, Google's AI blog announced Gemini 3.1 Pro in preview. Orion, what did Google say improved?
Google is positioning Gemini 3.1 Pro as better at core reasoning and complex, multi-step problem solving. They're highlighting higher benchmark scores on tougher tasks and pitching it for agentic and research workflows, still explicitly in preview so they can validate before broad availability.
Where is it showing up? Only in the Gemini app.
It's wider than that. The Gemini app, NotebookLM, Vertex AI, Google AI Studio, and developer tools. Access is tied to Pro and Ultra subscribers, plus developer previews, so it's meant to be tried by power users and builders first.
Should teams move production workloads onto it right away?
If you're already on Google's stack, test it, but treat preview like a warning label. Run evals on your own tasks, watch tool use behavior, and keep rollback paths. The big story isn't one model. It's Google threading the same model through consumer, research, and enterprise surfaces.
Reuters reported on February 19th that Mukesh Ambani says Reliance Jio will invest 10 lakh crore rupees, about $109.8 billion, over 7 years, into AI-ready data centers and edge compute. Orion, what stands out?
The scale and the intent. Reuters says the goal is to lower the domestic cost of compute, with plans that include multi-gigawatt data center campuses and renewable power to run them. It's a build-the-substrate move. Data centers, edge capacity, and the energy to keep it all on.
Is this mostly about India's AI sovereignty or pure business?
Both. Commercially, cheaper local compute pulls workloads onshore. Strategically, it reduces dependence on foreign capacity. And Reuters also noted a related detail. OpenAI is reported to become the first customer of a Tata Consultancy Services-operated data center, signaling big buyers are lining up for India-based compute.
What's the ripple effect if this actually gets built?
You could see a real shift in where models are trained and served, and who can afford it. If power and compute get cheaper locally, it expands the number of serious AI players, not just startups, but universities, labs, and enterprises that were priced out.
The Verge reported on February 20th on a security incident tied to OpenClaw-related agent payloads where prompt injection helped push a viral agent package across user systems. Orion, what happened in plain terms?
An attacker used the way agents interpret instructions, plus vulnerable agent hosting tools, to get a malicious or questionable package distributed broadly. Reports say many installed agents stayed inert, but the key point is how fast it spread and how agents can become a software distribution channel, not just a chatbot.
So this isn't just bad prompts, it's supply chain risk?
Exactly. When agents can browse, install, call tools, or touch files, prompt injection becomes an access control problem. Vendors are responding with tighter capability controls and lockdown modes, but the safer default is, assume any tool call can be tricked unless you design for it.
What's the minimum safety bar if you're deploying agents at work?
Least privilege, always. Separate identities for tools, strict allow lists, and sandbox anything that can execute code or install packages. Keep secrets out of agent context, log every action, and require confirmation for high-risk steps like sending data, changing settings, or installing anything.
A few more headlines worth knowing before you hit your calendar wall.
Financial Times on February 20th looked at open-source agents like OpenClaw and argued they spotlight privacy and safety risks, prompt injection, unauthorized data access, tool misuse. And on February 18th, an archive preprint showed LLM-powered deanonymization at scale, linking pseudonymous profiles across platforms with high precision.
Staying on the trust and controls theme, any leadership signals?
Yes. Business Insider reported on February 18th that Demis Hassabis highlighted 3 gaps: continual learning, long-term planning, and consistency, while warning AGI may be on the horizon. Separately, GoDaddy announced February 19th its agent name service now integrates with Salesforce MuleSoft Agent Fabric for verified agent identities in enterprise registries.
And money is still moving. Where did it land?
Bloomberg coverage around February 18th says Andreessen Horowitz led a $300 million round in Kavak tied to its AI-driven operations. And the Economic Times reported February 20th that LLM ops startup Portkey raised $15 million to scale deployment, monitoring, and optimization tooling.
One last note from the India summit, because humans are still the strangest interface.
Associated Press on February 20th described an onstage moment where Sam Altman and Dario Amodei avoided a symbolic handshake, going with raised fists instead. Call it awkward, call it rivalry, call it two-factor authentication for hands.
All right, that's the mix. Financial Times says Nvidia pivots to about $30 billion in OpenAI equity. Google pushes Gemini 3.1 Pro into preview across its ecosystem. Reliance and Jio pledge about $109.8 billion for India compute. And agent security gets a very real stress test.
The pattern is consistent: bigger model ambitions, bigger infrastructure bets, and sharper security edges, especially as agents move from helpful to hands on the keyboard.
If this helped you stay ahead, send it to a friend or coworker who's knee-deep in AI decisions. Thanks for listening to X-Pulse AI Morning Mix. See you next time.